Welcome to the Common Sense for Common Peeps podcast, a podcast that talks about topics by using facts to come up with opinions and solutions for the betterment of us as human beings. We have the right to have different views based on our beliefs and opinions. It is up to us to take those facts, discuss those views, and come up with common ground solutions that will move our society forward. Thank you for listening and enjoy today's episode. First of all, welcome to the Prelude episode of my podcast that'll be coming out every Thursday called Common Sense for Common Peeps. My name is Al. Some of you know me as Bucko Man from following me on Twitch and YouTube and some other platforms that I happen to be on. I have, as you all know, I have been really interested in creating content in a podcast style format for years now. I grew up loving old school radio. I know for a fact if I had the internet as a kid, I would have enjoyed going back and listening to the old radio programs from the 50s. To this day, I still love listening to baseball games and basketball games on the radio. Living in Cleveland, Ohio, we were blessed with the best radio broadcasters in the country. We also had really, really good radio personalities. In my teens, instead of listening to FM top 20 stations that just play the same music over and over and over again, I listened to sports talk shows, local sports talk shows, as well as a few national sports talk shows. Most of them, of course, are homerism, but there were three shows that I really enjoyed listening to because they weren't the typical homerism that you would get from local talk shows. Two of those shows were local programs that delivered the opposite side of the story, no matter how ridiculous they might have sounded. Most people thought that they were just saying these outrageous opinions to create a buzz, up the ratings, get more listeners to respond, to fill up the caller lines. For a time, I thought so too, but when you really listen to them from an objective point of view, most of the things had merit, and some of those opinions even came true. The third show was an overnight sports talk show that I would used to listen to with a handheld radio in my pocket and earbuds. Yes, I know, I'm stating my age. The host was extremely entertaining, and he got me through the 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. part of my shift. He was as unbiased as a radio host I ever heard. Someone would call in, and he would have a discussion with them from the other side of the story. So they would go back and forth until the call was finished. It was honestly the first time I heard a radio personality actually do that. Not having agenda, but having a conversation. I never called into radio programs, just like 99% of the listeners out there don't call in. But there are times that I really, really wanted to. I just didn't think I had the knowledge or even the speaking ability to have a conversation with a so-called professional radio broadcaster. But with time and age, a person grows wiser. And to be frank, a person loses lack of caring about what other people think about them in terms of peer pressure, like we did as teenagers. The lack of caring what others think about me and doing what I have always wanted to do is why I decided to give content creating an attempt over 3 years ago, April of 2019. Since my 20s, when I started listening to more radio programs, TV sort of went away. I can tell you, I have never seen an episode of Friends, That 70s Show, The Office, The Walking Dead, The Big Bang Theory, The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Dancing with the Stars. I've never seen any of them. But I have watched over 100 baseball games in a season. And if it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't even have a TV in my house, I swear. But I can say, from the love of radio, grew a new love, and that was Twitch. The Twitch platform really did become my TV entertainment. I began watching Twitch around 2017. It was about the same time I started playing one of my all-time favorite games, Minecraft, that my kids got me into. I started to fall in love with the game back then, and I wanted to learn more about it. I wanted to get better at it. So as we all do, what do we do to try to get better at something or try to learn how to do something? We go to the internet and we search it, right? So that's what I did. I went to the internet, onto YouTube, and I found a creator that I really, really enjoyed. As I was watching his videos, I found out that he streamed on Twitch. And I was thinking to myself, what on earth is that? So I went to the Twitch website. I found this creator, and I started watching him live. He had like 300 people watching him. They were giving him follows. They were giving him subs. They were giving him biddies and money. They were giving him money to play a video game online. And I'm thinking to myself, this is freaking crazy, right? And the more I watched, the more I realized how it was being entertained by him, because he was communicating to his audience through a game that felt like him and I were having a conversation together. Just him playing the game and talking to the people, to his community that he calls it, that were watching him, it just inspired me to like reach out to more creators and to see what else I can find on the Twitch platform, excuse me. This became my new TV platform. And because of my love of radio and just sitting back and listening to a program, I found dozens of streamers that I can just listen to. Them having absolutely no idea I'm there, like a radio program, being entertained by them over many different genres. It wasn't just gaming. It was just chatting. It was through music and other things that just connected me to the Twitch outlet. After a year or so, I thought, well, I like to play games and I really like talking to people. So maybe this is something that I can do. So I looked into it. I created a Twitch account, which I didn't have when I was watching those people. It's kind of funny because I was actually watching them not online or not on an account. But I decided to create an account. I began a YouTube channel in April of 2019. And in that same year in November, I produced my first stream on Twitch. This being the first time I got to express myself on a platform for others to actually listen to me. Streaming and creating videos confirmed that content creating is something that I really, really wanted to do. The first time that I really made content is when I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame back in the year 2012. I took videos, I took pictures, and I had a Mac at the time, and I was able to put it together, and I made a video of 25 minutes about my favorite place in the world, the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I knew when I first started creating content to that very first video that this was something that I really was interested in doing. But I knew that I wasn't going to be interested in doing it as a full-time job, but more as a hobby. Because I was real with myself. Knowing that everyday life, I was not going to be able to put 100% of my time and energy into it. However, and the most important part though, is when I did find the time, I would put no less than 100% of whatever effort I had into whatever I did create. And I've always been proud of everything that I've created, no matter whether it's on Twitch or on YouTube. So now, 2 years later, as real life has changed and things have moved forward, I do have a little bit of more time. And hopefully I have a little more energy to create this podcast. So I want to start focusing that extra time and that extra energy that I think I'm going to have now on a podcast. But why a podcast? As much as I enjoy playing games on Twitch, enjoying people watching me play games on Twitch, the number one thing that I really enjoy is having conversation back and forth with my viewers. I don't have a whole lot of viewers, but the ones that I do, it just feels so good being able to communicate and talk back and forth to the one person that's watching me, to the 4 people that are watching me, to the 10 people that are watching me, and so forth down the line. I love finding some topic, completely random, not even dealing with the game that I'm playing, and just talking about it. I've talked about present day life stuff. I've talked about my past life. I've talked about my current life. We have had serious conversations about sensitive topics on my streams. We have discussed silly topics that have lasted for hours on my streams. And I totally enjoy sitting down and just having those conversations with anybody about anything. And as an older gent, there is nothing like having a youngin come into your stream. You have a conversation with that person about a topic, whether you're building their opinion up on a topic or maybe giving them some opposite view advice, but not as a father, but just as another person, a friend, just giving them an alternate view. Because of that enjoyment and because I'm extremely passionate about certain topics, I really feel the next step for me in content creation is podcasting. Now let's talk about the actual podcast. I have developed the concept for the podcast and the direction that I really wanted to start in. At first, there's going to be a couple of segments to it. We're going to have the intro. We'll have the monologue, and then, of course, we're going to have a light-hearted section. Things can adjust over time. I know that it's not going to be the same on day 1 that it would be in day maybe 10 or 20 or whatever. But at the beginning, we'll just work on it and go from there, and go where the listeners take me. I want this podcast to be one in which all different views and opinions can be expressed. I do not want anyone to be shunned or use this forum to personally attack others based on their own views, but to come up with solutions to problems on all of the facts gathered and come up with conclusions in a common sense manner. I will have a Discord set up to have discussions there about the show and the opportunity to suggest topics to talk about or continue conversations from the podcast to the Discord channel. Again, we're not going to agree with each other, but I do believe through our discussions we can come up with some common ground. We can come up with some common sense solutions. Our forefathers told us that we have the right to have different views. We have the right to have different opinions. We have the right to have different beliefs. But it is up to us as a society to take those views, discuss those views, come up with a common ground for the betterment of us as human beings. I do not want the topics every single week to be serious every time. I want to throw some lighthearted topics in there, and we'll have some guest appearances on there. But most of the topics will be current trending topics of the day. And unfortunately, with the society that's going on now, we have some doozies that we can talk about. That is for sure. I consider myself an everyday person, as you heard the dog probably barking in the background, who wakes up in the morning. I go to work Monday through Friday. I work 45 to 55 hours a week. I'm raising kids. I'm trying to get food on the table. I'm paying bills. I'm juggling my home life with the world around us. Most people have some sort of schedule this every day, no matter their gender. So most people have this type of schedule every day, no matter what their gender is, skin color, educational background, your religion, your sexual preference. Every single day, we all have that kind of schedule. I feel a lot of people don't have time, though, to look into topics that we will be discussing on this podcast, analyzing them, and then drawing our own opinions and expressions based off of the topics. That makes this podcast perfect for peeps who might be driving home from work, who might be running the kids to school, might be running around just doing errands, or maybe you're sitting at home playing video games all night long. I really feel that this podcast will be for you guys. I have had friends ask me about the future of my Twitch channel and also the future of my YouTube channel. As far as the Twitch channel goes, I'm going to continue to stream there. I will be continuing to stream playing games and whatever fun stuff that we happen to do there. If there's anything that you would like to discuss with me, we can most surely discuss it there on Twitch. For now, we're going to leave it as it is. But if something in the future pops up and maybe we get a little more demand of people talking on that channel, I'm probably going to consider making a second Twitch channel from that and separate it from the initial one. But as of now, I'm going to keep that channel just the way it is. As far as YouTube goes, that's a different animal. YouTube, we're going to have two different channels. So we will have the normal channel for the Minecraft videos and all the fun stuff like that. And then there will be a second channel devoted to the podcast. So any information that I get off of websites and videos and all that fun stuff will all go that route. That way I can separate my technically my Minecraft channel from my political or whatever channel on the other side. Now, just because I said political doesn't mean that my podcast is going to be political. Unfortunately, like I said, with the times, we're going to be talking a lot about politics, but it's not going to be exclusively about politics, trust me, because that's boring, and a lot of people just don't want to listen to that. So to wrap this up, if you have any questions or comments and concerns, please feel free to ask. All of my socials will be in the description below and show notes. Any topics you would like to tackle, just let me know. If you would like to come on the podcast to discuss a topic, I'll be more than happy to have you. No one will ever be judged or shamed for this opinions that for the opinions that they have. Nobody will ever be downgraded on this show. So thank you for listening. I cannot wait to get this started. I am so stoked. I am so excited. I'm hopefully that you guys will be excited as much as I am. And as always, peeps, bye-bye, babies.